Who exactly was Abraham Lincoln? And why do Americans place him so high that even though he wasn't one of the founding fathers, they often put him right beside, sometimes even above, George Washington? To answer that, we have to go back to 19th century America, a young, fragile country standing at the edge of disaster. 19th century America was a nation barely 3 decades removed from its Revolutionary War, a young republic with a small military, an economy still rooted in agriculture, and borders that were anything but settled. The federal government wasn't yet powerful, and in this delicate environment, one issue was tearing the country apart: slavery. Slavery was completely legal at the time, and this single fact split the nation in two. The North was moving toward industry, railroads, and factories. The South still relied on huge plantations and enslaved labor. These two worlds had almost nothing in common and were drifting further apart every year. Whenever a new territory wanted to join the Union, a brutal question followed: would slavery be allowed there or banned? Every decision pushed the country closer to an explosion. Making things worse, many states believed they had the right to leave the Union entirely. The threat of secession hung over America like a storm cloud, and the nation felt like it was walking on the edge of a cliff. And right in the middle of this chaos, a calm but determined figure stepped onto the stage: Abraham Lincoln, the man who would not only be president, but the one who would hold the United States together during its darkest hour. Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809 in a tiny wooden cabin on the Kentucky frontier, so small and rough that even by the standards of the time it was considered humble. His family had almost nothing. His father struggled as a farmer and a carpenter, and frontier life was brutal: freezing winters, endless labor, and no real comfort or security. His childhood was shaped by tragedy. At just 9 years old, Lincoln lost his mother to a frontier illness known as milk sickness. The loss devastated the family. Later in life, Lincoln said that everything good he had ever become came from her. But as a boy, he had to bury his grief and continue working. That pain stayed with him. Books became his refuge. They were rare, but Lincoln grabbed any he could find. He read by firelight after exhausting days of farming, chopping wood, and helping neighbors for a few cents. He read Shakespeare, the Bible, Aesop fables, anything. This hunger for knowledge formed a sharp, disciplined mind that would one day reshape the nation. As he grew, he became unusually tall, eventually reaching 6 feet 4, and gained a reputation for a strange and quiet humor. He worked as a store clerk, rail splitter, surveyor, anything that paid enough to survive. But people noticed something else. Lincoln listened more than he spoke, thought before he answered, and could settle argument with calm logic. He was poor, a backward, and self-taught, but he had presence. Everything changed when he moved to New Salem, Illinois. For the first time in his life, Lincoln found a community that believed in him. He studied law with borrowed books, practiced arguments with locals, and eventually passed the bar exam, despite never attending college. As a lawyer, he built a reputation for honesty, fairness, and clarity. He refused to lie, bluff, or manipulate in court. Judges trusted him. Juries liked him. Opponents respected him. Soon, people gave him a nickname that stuck for life: Honest Abe. But Lincoln's personal path was never smooth. He battled depression, what he called his black dog. He failed in business. He lost elections. He mourned the deaths of people he loved. Nothing in his life came easily. Yet, he kept climbing. His national rise began with the 1858 debates against Senator Stephen Douglas. Lincoln lost that Senate race, but the debates revealed his powerful moral argument against slavery, and the entire country took notice. In 1860, he won the presidency, and the moment he did, the nation exploded. Southern states saw his election as a direct threat to slavery and began seceding one by one. America was breaking apart. Then came the Civil War, a 4-year nightmare. Lincoln barely slept. He read battlefield reports late into the night, terrified of every casualty. His own cabinet debated him. Newspapers mocked him. Crowds crossed him. But he remained steady and determined to save the Union. In 1863, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, transforming the war into a fight not only for Union but for human freedom. He also delivered the Gettysburg Address, only 272 words, but powerful enough to redefine America's purpose. By 1865, victory was near. Lincoln spoke openly about reconciliation, not revenge. He envisioned a peaceful reunification of the country, but he never saw it. On April 14, 1865, just days after the Confederate surrender, Lincoln went to Fort Theater for a brief escape from the 4 years of war. There, he was shot by a Confederate sympathizer. He died the next morning. The nation mourned deeply, but his legacy endured. The preservation of the Union, the beginning of the freedom for millions, and the proof that a man born in wooden cabin could change the path of history.